So before we start this video, I want to add a little something that somebody just sent me as soon as I finished filming this video. I wanted to talk about this because it's going to have to do with what we're talking about later in this video. And that is the odds of where Derrick Henry is going to end up in 2023 because they're quite surprising. Shout out to Ryan Roman for sending me this. Let's just get into it. ML Football says, Pound Titans, superstar running back Derrick Henry 2023 team odds via bookies.com. Now, the most likely team they have him on is the current team he's with, the Titans, plus 250. The second most likely teams the bookies.com has in odds of landing Derrick Henry, the Philadelphia Eagles, plus 400. Then they have the Bills, plus 550, Dolphins, plus 600, Ravens, plus 850, Bears, plus 1,000, Falcons, plus 1,200, Panthers, plus 1,200, and then the rest of the league, plus 1,400. Why do they have the Eagles, plus 400? I don't know. I'm just the messenger here. I'm just telling you what the odds say at bookies.com. All I can think of is this. They know that the Eagles land Derrick Henry, and we'll talk about it in this video. They land Derrick Henry. That offense goes to another level. You got a guy who could probably gain 2,000 yards behind that offensive line. Now, the losses that you may incur on defense can be negated with Derrick Henry. The Eagles offense would be elite, take the next step, score 30-plus points a game, and guess what? Even if your defense isn't as good as it was last year, they still would win a lot of games. And here's the thing. You add him like that, I think it's $10 million for the year. Guess what? You could pretty much go all defense in this draft, and you'd be all right. You could replenish your draft with it. This would be, in my opinion, a brilliant Howie Roseman type move if the Eagles do it. We'll talk about it in this video. Let's get it started. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. Free agency is about to get crazy. It is going to be crazy. We already seeing it manifest itself. And a lot of you guys tell me, Philly, we need to go get Bobby Wagner. We need to get Bobby Wagner. But what good is Bobby Wagner if your goal isn't to go back to the Super Bowl next year and you're building for 2 or 3 years down the road? But we'll get into it in a second because I want to go back to the Super Bowl this year. All right, but before we do that, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, most throttled Eagles content creator in all of the internet. And if you like coverage every day, Eagles stuff, going to be crazy during free agency, you definitely don't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button. And if you've been subscribed for a while, just double check. Double moonwalk check. We've got a lot of shenanigans going. I'm getting DMs. I'm getting emails. YouTube is up to their own trickery again. So definitely check it out. Make sure everything is good to go. Now, we're going to just jump right into this. And we're going to jump right into this with Gardner-Johnson, okay? Because the Eagles are about 24 hours away from the franchise tag deadline passing, meaning that once this deadline approaches, the Eagles will no longer have the option to franchise tag Gardner-Johnson. All of us Eagle fans want him back. We know his value, but we know that he's going to get top dollar. Will the Eagles bring him back? I don't know. I'm hoping, I'm praying. Even if they have to just franchise tag him to give them a little more time to work out a contract, you got to do it. But what I'm looking for the Eagles right now is I'm waiting to hear that they restructure Darius Slay, that they restructure Lane Johnson. Because once they do that, they're going to free up somewhere around $30 million. Get this from Elliot Short Parks. It says, Pound Eagles, and it's pound, not hashtag. Pound Eagles are at around $6 million in salary cap space. They'll need to open up more space soon. Free agents, Hurts, draft, etc. Best ways to do it involve Slay and Lane Johnson. Slay has a $17 million base salary. Johnson has a $14 million base salary. That's $31 million of combined salary able to be restructured. So the Eagles definitely have to go out and they have to try to restructure those guys. That will give them some salary cap space. They could sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson if they want to, and they may even have a little bit of room to sign a mild free agent, something like that. Nothing big. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything super huge, but it'll give them some leeway. I'm fixated on the issues of what the approach is going to be this offseason. What is Howie wanting to do? Are we willing to take a step back for 2 years to get everything sorted out, replenish your defense through the draft? Or are we going to do that and try to win next year? That's going to be the question. And there's a lot of things, a lot of reports, a lot of different things I've read linking the Eagles as a great spot for Bobby Wagner. Now, Bobby Wagner had a great year last year, okay? I think I read it. Let me see here. I think he posted 140 tackles last year and played 99% of the snaps at 32 years old. That's pretty good, right? And he's a free agent. He may be a free agent because of his age and stuff. You may be able to get at a discount reasonably, maybe for a year or so. My thing with Bobby Wagner is this. If you go out and you sign Bobby Wagner, and you get him, then what are you telling the team and what are you telling the fan base? You're telling them, hey, you know what? We're trying to win. That's why we're bringing a 32-year-old linebacker in. We want to get back there and win. And that would be a great sign. I think if they could get Bobby Wagner on the cheap, especially to go play, with Nakobe Dean, I think that would be a great thing for the Eagles. I would absolutely love that move. And I think it would be a smart move if they could get him on the cheap, for 1 year, a bridge linebacker. I would be totally okay with that. But this whole free agency is going to be crazy. You see the names of people who are about to get traded. You got DeAndre Hopkins. He looks like he's going to get traded. There's talks about Derrick Henry. We're going to talk about him in a second. He's going to get traded. Derek Carr today signs with the New Orleans Saints. Now, when it comes to New Orleans Saints, just because they got Derek Carr, look, do I look like I'm shaking? I still don't think they're that good. Okay, I still don't. If I was Derek Carr, I would have rather gone to a team who I think is a little closer to being ready. However, he's going to go to the New Orleans Saints. I think he's making around $37 million, somewhere around there. And this does affect us because the Eagles have the Saints' second-round pick. Okay, so if they become a playoff team, then all of a sudden that becomes a later second-round pick than if they have no quarterback and they stink next year and they're picking pretty low. Well, hopefully they'll lose every game, and now that will be as close to the top of the second round as it can get. However, I have said this with the second-round pick, that Saints pick, and I say it again. I would use that Saints pick as leverage this year in the draft. I would use it this year because, and the reason I say that is simple. I would use it this year because you're going to have a plethora of free agents. Of compensatory picks. We're talking third-round compensatory picks. You're going to have a ton of picks next year. You can make up for whatever second-round pick you gave away then. But if you can use that pick and take that pick and the 30th pick and jump up 10 spots, maybe you can snag Bijan Robinson, something like that, after getting a defensive player at 10. That's how I'm thinking about this. The Eagles, they've got to build this team, and I'm going to keep saying it. They've got to build this team not just for the future 2-3 years down the road, but they got to try to get back to the Super Bowl. This team's too close. They're too good, okay? Best case scenario, they get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson signed. Somehow they get Hargrave back. If you get Hargrave back, to me that changes the whole dynamic of the defense because I still think your pass rush is going to be at an elite level next year, especially that interior pass rush. I think it changes how I look at you going and approaching the draft. If you can't get him back, and Hargrave's gone, and Bradbury's gone, and the linebackers are gone, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, God forbid, he's gone. Then what do you do? What do you do to compete and be a contender next year? Not wait till 2024, but how do you contend in 2023? Right? I think Bobby Wagner would be a great addition. I mean, Howie's got his work cut out for him. He's going to have to find deals. He's going to have to find things. And listen, I know this is going to sound crazy. This is going to sound crazy and unlikely. And I totally get it. I totally get it. Totally get it. But for all you guys that are in love with the idea of only going defense early in the first round, why not, if given the opportunity, you're getting him for a year or two, just a bridge running back, right? Why not sit there and make a play for Derrick Henry? All right? Dov Coleman said this. Report, the Pound Titans are shopping star running back Derrick Henry, according to @MikeSilver. Tennessee have already moved on from multiple veteran players. I know it's crazy, right? It's far-fetched. But for take all that far-fetched, how much is going to take all that out of the window. And all I want you to think about is this. Derrick Henry with Jalen Hurts, that offensive line. Who's going to stop him? The guy's going to have 2,000 yards. He could have 2,000 yards. That offense scores over 30 points a game. Yeah, it's a year, whatever. I think he's owed $10 million next year. I don't know how that would break up with the trade between the Titans and the team they're trading. What the hell is that? But I would consider this strongly. And it would be a one-year thing. Now, what are you going to give up for Derrick Henry? I'm not giving up a lot. I mean, I'm not giving up a first-round pick. I'm not giving up a second-round pick. He's a 29-year-old running back. But if I could do something mid-round pick, I might go as low as a third-round pick. I'd go a third-round pick for him next year. I'd give you a third-round pick and maybe an incentive pick for next year if he hits parameters. And it's a one-year thing, of course. It's bringing him for 1 year. You're bringing Bobby Wagner in for 1 year while you replenish your roster through the draft. So I would look at that. And I would still consider, at that point, if I was able to go out and, let's say, get Henry, I would still consider Jahmyr Gibbs. These cats are insane. They're insane. I would still consider Jahmyr Gibbs in the second round, late first round, second round. I would still consider him. So you bring him in, then you have Derrick Henry. They played together for 1 year. Gibbs takes over after that. Why do I say this about Wagner? Why do I say this about Derrick Henry? Because guys like that allow you to be competitive this year, not just in 2-3 years. If the idea is just only focus on 2-3 years down the road, then just forget it. Don't sign any of these guys. Just go in, make some signings best you can, save as much money as you can, draft as many players as you can, and then take your lumps next year during the season, and then hopefully get back into it the following year. We could do that, or we could do what I'm suggesting. Find a way to make your team better but different than it was last year. Come with a different look, make your offense elite. Score 30-plus points a game. Be a little more aggressive on defense, even though you'll give up a little more points. However, let them play together. You know, people want to say, defense wins championships. Defense wins championships. That's 90s. That's 90s talk, okay? Offenses win championships. Offenses with opportunistic defenses. That's what wins championships in today's football. The Kansas City Chiefs defense did not beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. The Eagles scored 35 points. It was whoever had the ball last with some time on the clock was going to win that game. And that penalty cost the Eagles their shot. So my point is that you have to build this thing not just for 2-3 years down the road, but I'm also looking at trying to win next year. And if you put a Derrick Henry on this offense, and if you make this offense even better, even more lethal than it was the year before, then what you're going to lose on defense, and you're going to lose a lot possible, you're going to be able to survive. Now, I say that to say this. If you bring back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Hargrave, everything changes. I think you can get back with what you have. Draft well. But Hargrave and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson are the key. And it's going to start with restructuring contracts. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. And remember, Hargrave and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. My preference is get them back first and let's do this thing again. But if not, I am going to look to make my offense elite next year. Elite. That's the way I see it. Peace.
We're.
I'm going to torture Joey Shakes. I'm going to torture him this draft. Remember last year I kept sending him Matt Corral pictures. Well, he's getting it again. It's probably going to be a lot of Bijan Robinson or whoever else comes up. But I am going to torture Joey Shakes this year leading up to the draft. And then draft night when we're streaming with our Matt Corral jerseys on, where you're going to have a great, great night. It's going to be awesome. Let the torturing begin. Here I come, Joey Shakes. Pause. Denzel Washington out.